Douglas Politics tonight, 7:30 p.m. sharp. Archie, why yeah, the Douglas looking sweet, boy. You Photoshop the Douglas, but no big thing. We are watching Douglas Politics for sweet, boy. We watching Douglas Politics for information, facts, the way forward, the plans and policies of Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the United National Congress, the incompetence of the convent girl, the Al Singh. The Al Singh, stand up, boy. Stand up, the Al Singh. Sing. Forge. Sing it, boy. Sing it loud. Sing it clear. Need some penance, the Al Singh. Write the national anthem 500,000 times on one line copybook page. Convent girl, you complete dunce. Douglas Politics, 7:30 p.m. tonight.
Douglas Politics, this is Douglas Politics, yo. Douglas Politics, listen, Douglas Politics, yeah. Douglas Politics, this is Douglas Politics, yeah. Douglas Politics, this is Douglas Politics. Douglas Politics, this is Douglas Politics, yo. Douglas Politics.
Good evening, Eid ul Adha to the Muslim community and to all of Trinidad and Tobago. Blessed be to you and to everyone. Unite and help one another. We're going to deal with plenty things. Convent girl, you're going to be a star, boy. Oh, Lord, convent girl. And they're telling them you're done so long time. But you just help me make my case. Convent girl, we coming to you. Simon the nosebreaker, well, you and all. I don't like to talk to you, you know, because you irrelevant. But the irrelevant people getting big and doing dotishness, you press freedom, the nosebreaker. Well, you know, Rowley, Ethelbert, the normal boys, we coming through and we starting one time. Good evening. Well, let's share the live, please. First of all, let's start off with a bit of positive news. I see that Andy Johnson did an excellent piece as he read the life of Mr. Solo, the legendary Ken Charles. It's a must read. All you buy it. Don't just borrow it. Buy it. Buy our local people, our local hero. Buy the book, buy the biography. It is a great read according to Andy Johnson. I will buy it and read it. The honorary Ken Charles, boy. Oh Lord, from business magnate, racer, sportsman, patriot, father. The story must be good. So we will get it and read it. The Honorable Minister of Sport. We are what? Archie. Look, I forget. Douglas Politics, we get so good. We had to say Eid ul Adha. Run it.
Eid ul Adha will be observed on Wednesday, 21st of July 2021, inshallah. On behalf of the management of Douglas Politics, we wish all Muslims Eid ul Adha Mubarak.
I forget the show get bougie, our technology, our video, Archie and Mr. moving top of the line, but it's alright. The Douglas still on the ground grassroots, so I'll buy the Ken Charles also. The Minister of Sport, Shamfa Kujo, extends best wishes to Team TTO. You're a genie. You extending best wishes. When it was time to prepare the team to get resources for the team, you did nothing. When it was time to get them vaccinated early so they could go and qualify and compete and prepare, you did nothing. When it was time to get them money, extra money to have camps and training and prepare, you did nothing. You've done nothing. You cut sport budget from 140 million annually down to 10 million. The only thing happening in sport is that you went in so and now you looking so. So I'm happy for you, but the rest of the sporting fraternity, things are not looking so good. You feel just, we could have take the whole team Venezuela and do something and go in here and go out there. We can't do that. It's only you. So don't wish them best now. Do your work. Martinez. Who is Martinez? Not from Venezuela, you know. The mayor of Port of Spain, the PNM mayor of Port of Spain. PNM has been in charge of the Port of Spain Corporation forever. I don't think we ever had a mayor that is not a PNM of Port of Spain. Here, Martinez. Martinez vows to fix Port of Spain streets. Potholes are a real hazard. Really? People dead dodging pothole. People bust up the tire, they rim, mash up, shock, spring, everything in pothole all over the place. Port of Spain is the city, the capital city. We open borders. And people come in to see pothole, Martinez. You now know that potholes are a problem in the Port of Spain area. But I don't know what to do with this PNM all across the board. It are no good PNM. It are one. All you find one for me now. Sinking houses of cashew gardens. Now this is a very interesting article and I want you to listen to it very carefully, you know. Because when I read this for you, you will analyze historically that something is wrong with our system, our media, our people, our elections, our electoral system, our voting process. Cashew gardens houses are sinking. Bad drain leads to walls and foundations cracking. Residents of cashew gardens in Carlson Field go to sleep at nights wondering if they will awaken the next morning with their houses crashed on top of them. The community sprang up in 2005. About the same time, the National Housing Authority, NHA, was repurposed into the Housing Development Corporation, HDC, which was responsible for completing the drain work. So the HDC, the NHA transformed into the HDC around 2005. They developed this cashew gardens site for housing in Carlson Field. Now people are worried that the house is going to fall down on top of the head because of lack of drainage, lack of proper infrastructure work being done. Take a wild guess. Who was the Minister of Housing back when cashew gardens began? Keith Christopher Rowley. Who was the man in charge of HDC that moved from NHA? Noel Garcia. Who was on the board of the HDC? Faris, one shot, tight pants, bray like a donkey, go in a room with 13 men and dribble on them and have a big strong one who on TV now playing PNM police. He was on the board. That's what occurred. That's the incompetence that we in Trinidad and Tobago, along with the Edinburgh Towers, down in South, all of the housing projects, Las Alturas, we took that twin, Rowley and Noel Garcia, and elevated them as they lied to the top. And Rowley is now Prime Minister, and Noel Garcia is the man spending all the money in Trinidad and Tobago. We have elevated mediocrity, incompetence, stupidity, and dotishness to the highest level. And then we wonder why the only industry growing is pothole industry. The pothole sector is growing. As we talk about that, you all like to say, well, Kamla, and everything that Kamla Prasad Bisesa did that was warped in your minds and your perception by the media that you are now seeing is PNM, Balisi and Rice and Rowley K-Pax liquors. You are clear in that now. But you have to go back in history now and clear your mind of the perception. Remember, lots of PNM people and independent PNM people like to say, boy, Anil Kamla real do thing for people, boy. Children, life fund, laptops, school feeding, bill school, sport, pan, culture, hospital, education, MIC Center, NESC Center, Seabridge running smooth, Tobago, UE campus, hospital, health center, community center, fire station, police station, programs across the board, job opportunities, open up 55,000 jobs, energy sector, positive foreign direct investment, US reserves, foreign exchange ability, Petrotrin running, keeping jobs, NGC profitability. Kamla was brilliant. Oh God, Anil, all you Indian thief. Rowley spend more money than Kamla. And I will give all you 20 days and 20 minutes to try and tell me what the hell Rowley do with spending more money than Kamla Prasad Bisesa. $20 billion more. Nothing. Not a school. One sporting center down in Diego Martin that he gave a golfing partner and them. Finish our red house. What has he done? Every road in a mess. Down in the Port of Spain, me are crying and so on. But the perception that is fueled and funneled by the media, as I will continue to show you. They try to make Rowley sound good, sound plausible, sound honest, sound like he cares, sound like he's in charge, sound like he's a prime minister, when he's a total incompetent, dishonest, lying human being who does not even take care of all his own children. He is a misogynist who attacks women and makes statements about grooming them, and he must groom women because they turn into pasture, and choose your man right, I not in your bed, and then have a skit with gorillas, red gorillas, pulling off the sari of a woman, a yellow sari, and that's the man you all elevate the prime minister and have him talking down to us as if he is some bastion of integrity. He is a skunk. But the media happy with him because the shareholders of the media, them clocking billions. While you hungry and you fighting for hamper and they calling you greedy, them billion on top of billion. So they are happy to promote stupidity to the level of prime minister. That man is a man from Greenvale. He and Noel Garcia, Greenvale flood and nearly kill out people, and most of them just vote PNM. He nearly drowned his own supporters in Greenvale. Having said that, one thing I left out in my little, and that wasn't extensive, that's just off the back foot. Like Brian Lara, left-handed, hook for 6. Kamla Prasad Bisesa increased gate funding across the board with Minister of Science and Tertiary Education Fazal Karim up to 800 million. Up to old people could go and get degree and so on. He went on to PhD level, masters across the board, students could get. Look at this. UTT to raise fees. That's what Rowley does. UTT. So since Bastio Pandey dollar for dollar, then Patrick Manning gate, then Fazal Karim and Kamla Prasad Bisesa open the gate. Rowley close the gate, shut it down on UTT, and now we back to pre-Bastio Pandey days when children fees going to go up to study in Trinidad and Tobago. Can you all even imagine that? UTT fees to go up. And you all want to say Kamla and that clown, that bald head, peanut head, dotish imps who did nothing in his whole career, who came into power to procure without procurement and bully all you and feel he good when he's the biggest goat in the history of the Caribbean. Your children now have to pay for an education at UTT. You know what's the ironic thing? UTT was the vision of Patrick Manning because he saw that the Afro-Trinbagonian children over the decades of PNM rule had moved from scholars to also ran, and he needed to give them an opportunity to get up and to compete globally. So he created UTT, a little lower level of entry level to get in, but then you move forward and then you can accelerate into greatness, genius, and brilliance. Keith Rowley attacked UTT since he swore in as prime minister after lying on Emailgate and fooling you all with an EBC that splits the votes and give extra hour to PNM to say, well, it was raining, but didn't tell the UNC anything. He then shatters the budget for UTT, cutting programs and decimating a former PNM Prime Minister UTT project. Now he has really brought it to its knees, where children now have to go and find money to pay fees to go to UTT. This impacts and was a program to help mainly Afro-Trinbagonian children by Patrick Manning, because the East Indian children had mashed gas with the Mahasabha and the Muslim League and the Astra schools and so on. They didn't have political power from 1956 to 1986, so they realized that them Indian had to educate their children. So cane farmer in rubber slippers and khaki pants with one shot with 3 buttons decide to take all the money, make sure the pitch oil lamp have pitch oil in it, and make sure it have book, and then cane farmer child turn out to be surgeon actuary science, accountant, doctor, lawyer, profession. And that's what the East Indian did because they didn't have political power. But under the PNM, African moved from surgeon, doctor, lawyer, majority scholars. Just falling down the scale. Common entrance, SEA, O-levels, A-levels, unemployment. And that was the legacy of the PNM on black people. But yet all you want to vote that? You want to vote for something that you say look like you, but nothing uplifts black people that is PNM. Name one black billionaire that PNM has made over 49 years in charge and in power. Name one. Name one black minister who's a power broker in the PNM now. Name one. Name one black minister that recused themselves 37 times, 92 times. Name one, but all you're voting black. And now the black government suffer the black university for the black people children to pay fees. But the Indian lady, yeah, that Indian lady, she was paying that, man. She was paying all the fees for all her children because that Indian lady, she loved all the children. She loved black children, Indian children, Douglas children, white children, Syrian children, Chinese children, mixed children, big children, fat children, skinny children, skillful children, running children, sports children, all children. Single mother children, double parent children, blended children, everything to do with children. She was giving you gate, she's giving you a laptop, she's giving you a textbook, she's making sure you have opportunities, she's giving you any NESC, MIC centers. That Indian lady, dude. But the black man who always say, Anil, you go and eat banana, boy. The black man take all your banana, tell all your scatter, and let your children look for money, have barbecue, curry and pay lao queue to go and try and have an education. And you all would like to say, Kamala and Rowley is the same, UNC, PNM same. You need to take a Panadol if you want to talk that nonsense. You may need some kaopectate if you talk that utter trite. Ansel Dennis, Tobago. Ansel Dennis, you know, I thought I big you up about 3 months ago, you know. Indian arrival day 2 months ago, whatever. You made a good speech. That was it? You done there? You get one bit of praise. And that is all the positive you could do, Ansel Dennis. Ansel Dennis, you are the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly. And I do this because it's 6 all since January. We going into August. And you ruling as if you is the big shot, like you have a majority, like you win landslide. Ansel Dennis is announcing that there's a Tobago New Normal Task Force. For 1 year, he appointed a new task force to chart the way forward, kind of like a roadmap to recovery of the PNM, but in Tobago. And nowhere in the article, nowhere in the speech did Ansel Dennis say, well, after consultation with Mr. Augustine of the PDP and the members of the PDP, or the six councillors or the 6 Tobago THA representatives of each of the 6 PDP districts, or the PDP national executive, or the PDP party, not a word. Or he took recommendations from Mr. Augustine Farley. He did nothing like that. So you run in Tobago like you're a dictator when you lost 2 seats. Not 2, no? 4. Well, 6 in the last 7 years, but 4. You just create a committee without consultation. Use a real PNM boy, Ansel Dennis. Shame on you. Make one good speech. Somebody must have write that speech for you. From one, Regrello, I don't know, boy. Regrello, you come in and astound this Douglas politics, boy. Regrello, you come last week. First of all, you come to attack the athletes and say we athletes shouldn't go to Crocure because you find the only them who could get medal, that you don't know, that you have little knowledge, but you find we wasting money. We wasting money on your salary, boy. And I hear you just hire plenty of your family all over the place. So plenty hamper we could get if we get rid of you and your family. Entry Grello, then you come to tell people, but people who suffering, can't pay their bills, foreclosure, electricity bills, phone bill, phone cut, ready for action for work. You telling the people of San Fernando 2 more weeks would not kill you? No, but the PNM would kill them. The PNM incompetence and the stupidity. Who the hell would put a dunce like you as a mayor? Imagine you, if we go and line up in San Fernando, they had to call you first on the level of protocol. Imagine calling a dunce like you first. Who we go call second? Convent girl? And now he says, this clown here, with the food industry reopening on Monday for takeout, delivery, and curbside, San Fernando Mayor Junior Regrello is pleading with customers to follow the public health guidelines. Why you don't plead with your PNM Attorney General to wear his mask and stop dribbling on man in a room? Why you don't tell Rowley when he put it there is not a chin strap? Why you don't tell Coleman to stop walking on the road without his mask? Why you didn't tell them what they call election in January for? Why you didn't tell them why they telling all the people to come out for vaccination and call a super spreader event 3 days? Why you didn't tell your government to stop playing the fool with COVID-19? We reach 1,000 deaths. Junior Regrello, you big dunce with your ridiculous, you epitomize what PNM is. Panama, Dominican Republic, and CARICOM left to get US vaccines. Everybody else getting US vaccine. Rowley, you ain't show us, media, you signed the confidentiality agreement with the United States. You're the only prime minister they signed that with. What they choose you so for? Over 60 countries get donation from the USA for vaccine already. Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, one shot, all kind of thing. Man going concert and playing football. What you get, Rowley? You and your $50 million man lobbyists. What are you lobbying for? Coca-Cola? Mitchell. Now, from stupidity, we move to a bit of sense now. 2 weeks ago, I read out for you all from a doctor in Tobago. And I showed that the doctor in Tobago was just giving what we need. Science is science. All we want from doctors in this COVID-19 is the truth. Tell us the numbers, tell us what to do, tell us the deaths, tell us what caused it, tell us where it came from, tell us how to stop it. Just tell us. Stop trying to change us and change up science to make Convent girl look like he have a brain. Because that is an impossibility. You'll have to take all the doctors from the $6 million man, Steve Austin, to try and rebuild piece of a brain for Convent girl for him to even reach a modicum level of primary school. The man is the epitome of duncehood. But you have doctors trying to uphold his stupidity, trying to shimmy-dimmy for Rowley's ridiculous political statements. But in Tobago, they ain't playing that. The doctors in Tobago, I think it was a Dr. McLeod last time or something. Here's another doctor in Tobago. Listen to the difference. We have to listen to Abdul Richards, who draws in a pay from PNM on the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standard Board, on the TTRHA board, on the NIPDEC board, plus she salary. We have to listen to she, Miss PNM paid doctor. But in Tobago, them doctors just coming out. Here is Dr. Mitchell. Dr. Roxanne Mitchell, Acting General Manager, Primary Care Services, Tobago Regional Health Authority. The TRHA says the authority will be ramping up its COVID-19 home monitoring program. Why? Why would the authority, why would the health system in Tobago, why would they ramp up their monitoring of home quarantine? Let's find out from a real doctor who just talks the truth. This is because some people in quarantine are leaving their homes to carry out all sorts of activities. At the division's virtual media briefing on Friday, Dr. Mitchell said the TRHA was receiving too many reports of people in home quarantine leaving their homes. We are getting reports of persons being out on the streets. If you're in home isolation, you know somebody in home isolation, the family members ought to stay at home. She said the TTPS has been notified and we are going to upgrade our monitoring. Isn't that simple? No need for me to now criticize, because she comes with the truth. Our system is not perfect. It's not working well. We are going to improve the system. Let's go. But in Trinidad, people we know for the last 17 months, them was in quarantine and they ain't get a call. People take a test and 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, them ain't get no results. Them in, out, in, all around, doing what they want. And down here, the local PNM doctor send us, yes, the home quarantine system is working fantastically well. We had no reports of community spread. Everything is working absolutely perfectly. Oh, so, well, 18 people died, but everything is absolutely wonderful. Oh, we moved from 11 positive cases up to 752. But no, we have it under control down here in Trinidad and everything is great. Dr. Rowley invited everybody to Tobago, but it wasn't that caused the spike. Of course not. We saw a spike because guys were playing basketball. And after that basketball spike, well, Dr. Parsham said something, but he didn't really mean it. And we didn't take him on. But we really saw that, people 4 months before that were vigils. They lit candles. And the candles heated up the COVID. And the COVID jumped around and spread up. So that's why we're dying. The vaccinations are happening, and we saw no spike from telling 80,000 people to come for vaccinations, and we only had 3,000 vaccines, and people were like all squashed together at all 36 health centers. But we saw no spike there. But the numbers may be high in over 60 population, of which over 60 were the ones who went there looking for vaccine. But no, it must be something happening in the homes of the geriatric and so on. It's not Dr. Rowley's fault, and the vaccination program, we're seeing little results. The Delta variant is not here. We haven't tested anything. We don't know what samples to test, how to test. We're not going to tell you what we tested, how much we tested, but we have no more Venezuelan immigrants here, and we're not going to vaccinate them, because we're only going to vaccinate those who are here who speak English. And when we reach herd immunity, everything will be great, and our system is fantastic. 1,000 people dead, yes, that's all right. Don't worry with that. That was expected. It could have been worse. That's the doctors we have down here who go on a show with a woman. Oh, good. I don't even know she have a face for radio. But me, I understand that the doctor go on there but telling we he impartial. But these Tobago doctors, they should be in charge of the national program. Because that's all we ask from doctors. Give us the science. Give us the data. Give us the testing. Give us the information. Tell us what to do. Tell us what not to do. Don't play games with those clowns. Don't play games with that clown who opened laundromat because he was smelling stink. Don't play with he. You understand? National, oh God, as I say stink. Ethelbert, come in, boy, come in. Ethelbert, National Security Minister, pleased with border reopening process. But what all you put a picture here for? The Minister of National Security is not small pin. Where Ethelbert come back from? Ethelbert, nobody cares about you, boy. You come to tell me that you are pleased with the border reopening process, so you are pleased with the performance of small pin in your portfolio. Oh gosh, black man, a proud henna, stay up Zimbabwe boy, Rasta man, you just make me proud. You mean this little half Trini Chinese from Barakpur come and take your portfolio with a tiny pin, and you with your long Rasta locks, Pumsite? Yes, Paul. Yes, small pin, you opened my airport well, you brought my vessels well, you walked past me with my Prime Minister well, you all in my portfolio, you're inside my Bartex, upside, but you don't have much space because you're fitting easy with your small pin, and you are all controlling my job. I'm really just there, an ugly black face, just there to hold a salary. Nobody wants to hear from you, you clown, Ethelbert. Oh, well, we want to hear when you're going for your next bath. That would be nice. I'm really interested. And I see, now Archie, you have to come in here, boy. Come in on this picture as best as you could. This picture here, boy, right here. Come in and let me tell you something. Remember, we want to see Ethelbert when he go and beat him, when it flood again, when it rain, eh? Because if you come in close, you will see why. Ethelbert is always prepared to go down in the beat for next bat, you know. You're coming in, look at Talbot, you're expecting flood. And Talbot, I check out shoulder man pants. And Talbot, go back. And Talbot, I like that. You're showing, you see, you're improving. You're coming prepared for when you go down and they kick sewer water on you again. Your pants up by your kneecap. That's very good. Rowley didn't help you. You didn't go in the laundromat and get your proper fitting suits clean. So, Talbot says he's happy with that. I want to ask Rowley, Talbot, and Smallpin something. Since Rowley walked past Talbot, hug up Smallpin and went to talk about national security issues that Talbot's supposed to control in front of the chief of defense staff, the Coast Guard officers, special branch, and so on. When Rowley ignored Talbot to come and tell us about 2 cutlass vessels that Smallpin and Rowley went down to Australia, drink scotch, eat shrimps, and order 2 of that like it's 2 dynamite to suck after the shrimps leave a bad taste in their mouth. Then buy 2 cutlass from Hostal, this Hostal company that every time PNM in power it have vessel. I wonder how by the hair of my chinny chin if we could leave that alone. I don't understand what is the connection between chinny chin, Hostal chin, and leave it alone. I don't know what's that. And what about Alcoa? Who get that Alcoa down in Cairns? I come in there just now by next few weeks. But Rowley said, now we are ready. We are ready to secure the borders. We have these 2 cutlass vessels. They have arrived, and we are safe. Well, let me ask you this question then, Rowley. We were not safe for the last 6 years then. You see, when you over-talk, dunce head. So the 2 vessels now reach, so we now safe. Okay. Well, that means for 6 years while you were prime minister, our country was unsafe. That's a confession of stupidity, incompetence, and inability to do your job, Rowley. You so get excited because you procure without procurement, you and Smallpin, and you're excited. It reached, yes, good for you. But we are dying because of illegal immigration and COVID-19 and Brazilian variant that came with it. We are in a total mess. So much so that Venezuelans are leaving us here now and going back to their mess because you have made a bigger mess. One more question for Talbot, Smallpin, and Rowley. Smallpin announced ad nauseum while trying to tell you about the procurement process that did not occur because he and Rowley went down like a some parlor, like they're going to buy hops at Lim Choice, right? They're going to buy hops by Chimuk Bakery. They went down Australia with our next mad one who went up in St. Anne's, where 2 of them going up to. And just went, and they came back to discuss how they thought this was a corporate governance process, how the transparency and accountability and tender process was perfecto. So they tried to tell you that they reached just in time. And Prime Minister Turnbull of Australia, you know, he announced just at that time, while Rowley and Smallpin was drinking scotch and eating shrimps, we have grant funding for these vessels to help countries protect their borders. So Smallpin announced to the country and printed by all the media, went live on all modes of media, that we were receiving grant funding from Australia. Simple question. The Douglas is like simple questions. How much grant funding did we receive at Talbot, Smallpin, Rowley? Anybody? How much? $2? $200,000? $2 million? $200 million? How much grant funding? Just let us know, please. Now, if we didn't receive grant funding, does it mean Smallpin, Rowley, Talbot, and the PNM? Does it mean that all you lie? Does it mean that? If we ain't receive no grant funding, let's read this clung before you grow the fuchimin and like Asha like you getting vexed, Asha like he really gonna go to park here. The disinformation being spread by the UNC operators is a clear indication that the opposition does not want to properly protect our borders the same way they left them open from 2010 to 2015. Wow. Really? Between 2010 and 2015, there weren't really any illegal migrants to talk about, other than the few, of course, that were coming from all over the world, Nigeria, Guyana, maybe a couple of Venezuelans. The real illegal immigration started in 2016, late into 2017, as the oppressive regime of Maduro started to clamp down on the people and the economy of Venezuela, and food became scarce, medicine, water, no supplies, no electricity. And over 150,000 to 200,000 Venezuelans came across during that period. When you, Small Pin, with this super Rowley K-Pax liquor, you were there, recusing yourself day in, day out from cabinet. That's when the influx of immigration came. So stop trying to lie. Okay, tell the truth. So I'm asking you all about the grant funding. Now, Ethelbert, leave Ethelbert there. Ethelbert, I have some questions for you, because Senator Lyda asked you some very important questions. Now, I thought it was unfair of Senator Lyda to ask you anything, because Senator Lyda know you are nobody. Nobody's tell you good morning. You is the Kobo Sweat Minister. So I don't know what Senator Lyda asking a Kobo Sweat Minister anything for. So Senator Lyda, don't do that. That's not fair, man. You're bullying the fellow. He just has God didn't make his life very easy. Look at that face. I mean, his father watched him and said, Ethelbert, when he was a baby, he didn't even have cute in Pampers with pin. You understand? It's been a hard life for the gentleman. You come to ask the man hard question when he is not the Minister of National Security. He don't know nothing. Small Pin walking all over, he dreadlock Pumpsy Terrace self. When Small Pin walk over him, he's drop a visine poop poop in each eye for him so that he wouldn't fall asleep while boring the Canadian people in a conference to raise money for Venezuelan migrants. When he sit down like he come out from that special place that is, when you're there, they just put you in a pickup truck and drive you around. The man look like he in the pickup truck going around the savannah. So I swear they embalm Ethelbert, yes? He talking, they have to tell him hush. You go on, Senator Lyda, and you asking Ethelbert hard questions. I find you wrong, Senator Lyda. I am here on Douglas Politics to buff you. You cannot bully Ethelbert by trying to make him answer things he has no answer for. He done not too bright. The man say he take SEA. He with the whole flipping self. It didn't even conceive SEA when he turned 50. He take SEA, which was really common entrance. And he boasts that he failed. While he was telling his constituents, hey, if you find gun and they throw it out in the road, don't give up nobody, you know. Telling the constituents to break the law. And then I heard he took one O-level Cambridge exam and he get a 5. I didn't even know you could reach 5. I know in swimming coaching, the highest level in the world is level 5 senior. That's what I get. No higher qualification in the world. I didn't know when you take exam, it does reach 5. Who gets a 5? Ethelbert boasts that he get a 5. Back in the day, 6 used to just squeak pass. So, Lyda, stop taking advantage of the fella now. You mustn't take advantage of the intellectually challenged. Anyway, let me ask you, Ethelbert, since you're trying to attack Lyda, you ain't answer no question. Your boy Lyda don't know nothing. Lyda don't know nothing. You, okay, Minister Kobo Stewart, answer this for me. Was there grant funding? Yes or no? If so, how much? The 6 hostile vessels that we have, that park up there doing nothing, and Kobo sitting down on it and dropping poop, where we should send you to scrub it down with your suit, where your pants so short you could go and walk through flood. We could send you down in Stobles Bay with our pants to go and scrub down them hostile vote. What about them vessels? What about the operation plan for the cutlass vessels? What's the crew? What's the diesel amount? What's the operation? How are we going to do it? How many hours are we going to put them out? What's the top speed? How much coverage can we get? Do we need other vessels to work, or these two just go out there in the water and we just safe like Selassie I briefcase? Please tell us, because you didn't answer. You're attacking LIDA. How much diesel was allocated in the last 6 years to the Coast Guard as opposed to 2010 to 2015? And since you have become Minister of National Security, have you taken a cabinet note to increase the diesel supply to the Coast Guard? And what is the love affair between the PNM and Hostal? By the hair of your chinny chin, I want you to leave that one alone. You understand? What's the connection between PNM and Hostal? And then also, as you're ready to answer, since you want to talk about LIDA, at least LIDA, not in the cabinet. You in the cabinet, you in the PNM, you are Balize all up in your pampas. And you don't know nothing about what's going on in your own portfolio. What about the Air Guard? Have you purchased any radar? Are there any new planes operating? What about the helicopters? Where are the army camps? Have you put any army camps down from Ikaka, Cedros to Fullerton? Where are the police roadblocks? What's the position? How are the borders? Where are the 15 beaches that you said were open? What about the 81 porous sites? How many illegal immigrants are here? How is it operating? How come the police riverine unit is operating better than the Coast Guard? Now they have these vessels. How long does it take for them, the crew, to get off that big vessel onto a small pirogue going at 70 miles per hour on the water in the darkness? What is the condition of the radar? Is it operating? Since you were there, we saw 12 dead people, 12 dead floating under the radar, and fishermen had to drag them in. Please answer these questions at Elbert. I know it's a bit much for someone who took common entrance but thought it was SCA, and somebody who got a 5 in Cambridge. But answer now. Moving right along at Elbert. Remove him. My goodness. That is a face not even my mother could love. That is a face probably only a great-grandmother could love, because she's dead and she wouldn't see it. The Guardian, I want you all to understand now how we end up here. You all are probably wondering, Anil, how we end up with Rowley as Prime Minister, Ethelbert as Minister of National Security, Small Pin, Al-Rawi, a la tight pants, a la one shot, a la recusal, a la rental, a la dribble on man ears inside a room without a mask. How we end up there? Let me read to you why. This is the editorial of The Guardian of Rowley's K-Pax, Monday, July 19, 2021. The good, the bad, and our behavior, meaning the people, as if The Guardian represents the people. The Guardian didn't put doubles, remember? They didn't put doubles on the front page, Them put pizza. So understand who them represent, but they're trying to editorialize about us, the people. Well, let's read The Guardian. It's a mark no one expected at the beginning of 2021. After entering the year at a good place in the battle and with news of a breakthrough in vaccinations before things took a drastic turn for the worse. Really? Nobody expected the situation and the COVID chaos that we are in now. Nobody warned the population since last year, January 30th, into February, into March, into April, May, June, July, into election in August. Nobody told the population that Keith Rowley and his government were totally incompetent, that Convent Girl was a total dunce, that every decision they were making was wrong, that there was no testing, there was no data, there was no curve, there was mammogism, that the press conferences were just made to create an aura of doing something when nothing was happening. Nobody said at any point that we are behind in the vaccination program, that we have made no real attempts to get vaccination donations and to reach herd immunity, that we have no contact tracing, that we've spent out all the money and people are starving, that we are locked down and we are in state of emergency with no efficacy, no benefits, no nothing, that we have failed on both the health side and the economy side. Nobody said that, Guardian. Nobody expected that. You see what I'm saying? The Guardian didn't hear that. Because all they hear and all they know is Rowley, Rowley, Rowley. Keep Rowley. He's dotish, but keep him. He lied, but we okay, keep him. He doing stupidness, but let's keep him because our shareholders making money. Let's keep him. Let's obfuscate. Let's create things. Let's read more from the Guardian, okay? So Guardian, I think at least 3/4 of the population knew after August 10th into September, October, after your lies and the media lies were seen by the population, that Rowley and Convent Girl were not #1 in the world. Although the warnings of another wave were always there. What warnings of another wave? If we were, and if you were trying to make us believe that we were at 0 positive cases for 54 days, 0 deaths for 54 days, where can a second wave come with borders closed? I'm listening, Guardian. I really want an answer. Where could a second wave come if the borders are closed? Our citizens could not even come home. Porous borders, Guardian. Illegal immigrants, Guardian. South America, COVID-19, exploding, Guardian. Rowley, incompetent. Small pin, incompetent. No border protection, Guardian. Did you care about that? Did you tell us that? Did you show the population and put pressure on the government to keep us safe? No, you didn't, Guardian. So you didn't see it coming. How could you see it coming? With your head so firmly pushed up in Rowley K-Packs without KY. How could you see? In there it's very dark. You couldn't see the truth. These bastions of integrity and media impartiality, it's amazing. But you, the people, especially those who watch Douglas Politics, knew that this was going to collapse, that the lies would fall upon one on the next and lead to devastation. We knew that. The Guardian says, few would have predicted the devastating impact it would have had on our country when cases and deaths began rising. Yes, few. Because the few you listen to are in the cabinet. The few you listen to have your Answer Macal company making profits while the rest of us are suffering, while businesses are shutting down. That's why you write this drivel. So you couldn't see. You were looking through the world with Rowley shaded glasses. And that dark, not dark and beautiful, you know, that dark and ugly. They continued. But not all has been bad news lately. There has been a slowing of the deaths, yet still not at a level we ought to be comfortable with. Well, if we're not comfortable, what level of death can you be comfortable with? But you're trying to put positivity into calamity, chaos, death, and devastation. 1,000 people dead. But the Guardian tell me, hey, they have light at the end of the coffin. Light at the end of the coffin. And Guardian, that's how great your love for PNM is. You all are sick people, and if the country understands that these types of things have a clown like Rowley as Prime Minister, you will understand. Because this nonsense impacts people, their perception, the way they vote, the way they feel. How many of you all thought on August 10, 2020, that they were #1 in the world? And Kamala want to open the border, and Kamala want to build a dome with dome builders and dome carpenters and dome masons. And Kamala wanting sunlight would kill the COVID. But the truth is, sunlight kills the COVID, you know. And therefore, we shouldn't have closed down no beaches, shouldn't have closed down outdoor vending. Outdoor restaurants should have remained open. Rivers should have remained open. We should have kept our economy going and kept the social separation, mass, and the principles of 3 Ws. But Rowley did nothing. Everything they did wrong. But the Guardian still trying to find something right. They continued. This suggests that from what the health officials have said, the improved vaccination drives over the last month have been having some impact. Now, this is a level of dishonesty that I have to take my time on. This is a newspaper, the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper is stating here that the vaccinations that have been occurring in Trinidad and Tobago, which at a maximum as I speak to you now, is 14 or 15% of the population fully vaccinated, and that's being optimistic. Let me say 15%. I don't want them to say Anil trying to shimmy to me. 15% fully vaccinated population. Guardian newspaper, I would like you to provide one scientific report, research paper ever done that says that 15% vaccinated in a population could register some sort of results. I want you to let Dr. Parasram, Dr. PNM Hines, Dr. Abdul PNM board lady state categorically that 15% fully vaccinated population can result in a situation that can measure infections or the performance or decrease or diminution in the infectious rate of the COVID-19 vaccine. All over the globe, 15% and nothing is nothing. Science has showed in all the countries of the globe that when you start to cross 40, 44%, you start to see some level of impact on your overall society. 40%. Guardian, you are saying at 15%, you are seeing an impact of a vaccination program, when the truth is we have no vaccination program. We are 8 months into vaccination and only 15% of our people are vaccinated. We have had no education program, no information. The people, 40% of the people are still confused and don't know if they even want a vaccination. And you are trying to tell us that Rowley and them do good. That you, Guardian, in your scientific opinion and analysis, you are seeing that 15% of our population being fully vaccinated is showing results after 73 days of lockdown, shutdown, and breakdown, after how many? 65 days of state of emergency. You are now seeing and saying, and let me quote from the Guardian, I just want you all to understand the level of dishonesty, the level to which this newspaper will stoop to convince you that an incompetent dunce by 2, because Convent Girl is his choice, by 3, because Devlin Thomas is Convent Girl choice, a triplet of dunce could be making sense. This is what the Guardian is trying to say. Listen to them carefully here. This suggests that from what the health officials have said, the improved vaccination drives over the last month have been having some impact. What impact? Where impact? How impact? What percentage you get impact? Show other countries that got impact from 15% of the population being fully vaccinated, Guardian. This is really a remarkable, unbelievable country to have a newspaper that some of you all still buy and read talking this kind of nonsense. And as we talk that, we're moving right into how the perception is. Because I had a conversation with 4 PNM yesterday at different times. And they tell me, Anil, Lord, the whole country fed up of Rowley and Convent Girl and the PNM and Small Pin and Al Recusal. They sick of the PNM. They fed up of the PNM. They're showing their incompetence, their heartlessness. They've shattered the economy. People just waiting to leave the country, and those who can't leave, they fed up of Rowley. They want to remove Rowley. But Anil, oh God, Kamla can't lead. They have a problem with Kamla. When I asked them, what did Kamla do that they're talking about? Is it that you're telling me that what the PNM told you about Kamla, you believe? Because all you know about Kamla, you are not proving, you are not seeing the Kamla with the children life fund. You're not seeing the hospitals. You're not seeing the sporting grounds. You're not seeing this velodrome, the tennis center, the aquatic center. You're not seeing the roads. You're not seeing the UTT. You're not seeing MIC. You're not seeing NESC. You're not seeing Seabridge. You're not seeing increased tourism. You're not seeing sport tourism. You're not seeing manufacture. You're not seeing 55,000 jobs. You're not seeing differently able grants. You're not seeing pension grant increase. You're not seeing raised minimum wage. You're not seeing better roads. You're not seeing bridges. You're not seeing highway to Point Fortin. You're not seeing competitive index 65th in the world as opposed to 105th. You're not seeing foreign exchange. You're not seeing reserve requirements. You're not seeing HSF building up. You're not seeing point research. You're not seeing water in your tap. So what you're seeing, what you're talking about, Kamala, what Guardian tell all you, what Express with Asha Javid, who hugging up two different PNM ministers telling you, what Express with and Guardian with Anika Gumsand tell all you about Kamala, that's what you are telling me. You need to come to me with some facts, because the facts I have, Kamala performed brilliantly. They say, well, we can't argue, you know. I said, and I took them through it now, and I'm going to take you all through it. I said, look at something. I'm going to show you how the newspapers control our mind share subliminally. They control our actions, so much so that we believe that we are controlling our actions when we are being puppeted. You ready? Are you all ready? If you check social media, you will see video, cute video, nice video, loving video, romantic video, children video, all with KFC. Check it. Y'all don't even understand that what you're doing by your funny jokes and your memes and so on, you are marketing KFC further into the fabric of Trinidad and Tobago, so much so that KFC across the globe is a non-entity. USA, they hardly eat KFC. They eat Popeye chicken, they eat all kind of other things. They don't eat KFC. England might have a few KFC. Trinidad and Tobago KFC now open their 60th KFC in this little place. Why? How did that reach? How did KFC? Because anybody who tell you would tell you that Royal Castle tastes more like Trini than KFC. Whatever seasoning and spices Royal Castle is more local, more to we palate. So what have we with this KFC cult, KFC brand, KFC move? What could have done that? You ready to see it? And I'm just going to show you one day. This would have been going on for decades. Here we have newspapers from one day. Actually, may have to come in because I want them to see. Right? I want them to see. So come in. We have newspapers. This is from one day. And this is what takes place. Now remember, when you have advertisements, every company gives advertisements and so on. We don't really look at advertisements. In fact, when I watching TV, I fast forward the advertisements if I'm watching the show on rewind. If not, I watch two shows at the same time. Right? So, from newspapers, this is a general story. These are just stories, but check the picture. KFC. Check the picture. Pizza Hut. Check the picture. KFC. Check the picture. Pizza Hut. Check the picture. KFC. Check the picture. Subway. Check the picture. Lady with KFC. Check the picture. Daddy and daughter, KFC. Check the pictures. Come back out. There's one day. That subliminal marketing gone into your consciousness. That out of all the food in Trinidad and Tobago, all the restaurants, all the smaller chains, all the things that trying to build, these newspapers, all three, 60% of their pictures that you will look at, because it's not an advertisement. It's not a big paid advertisement. It doesn't strike you in your mind as an advertisement, but it goes into you as part and parcel of us. And that's the power of marketing. And so KFC in Trinidad is like part of us, part of our culture, part of who we are now. I totally disagree, but I'm telling you, the perception. Nothing about KFC is Trinbagonian. It's a foreign company. It takes US money. It's a franchise. You have to buy all the ingredients from outside. It's not locally thing. It's not nothing. Understand that. But we have taken it as our own because our mind share and perception has been influenced by the media, and we don't even know it. That is exactly what has happened over 48 years of PNM government. When you have the Express newspaper, 79,000 papers per day, the Newsday at its peak between 2010 to 2016 at 49,000 papers. The Guardian averaging 17 to 19,000 papers per day. If 2 or 3 people share a newspaper, and then the radio stations that take the headlines from these newspapers and discuss it on 95.5, 96.7, 100.5, all PNM. Half of 102.1 was PNM, now the whole thing was PNM, now they give up on that. Then you go into 105.1, 104.1. All of these PNM stations, PNM owners whose radio station people don't even know they're PNM, and all the issues go and they take the headlines out from the PNM newspapers that were pushing Asha Javid's stories on political journalism, even though they didn't know who she was loving up with, while making children for a PNM Attorney General and loving up and reading sanction clauses under a small pin PNM super minister, writing in the Express as an investigative political journalist, and they push this down. Then you have the TV, the same newsrooms go through and the headlines go through, and then the editorial on the TV6 News, 340,000 people watch that, and CNC3. That's where the perception comes from. So if the truth is not put on Rowley, if the Guardian is telling us Rowley's still good, vaccination 15%, we doing good, 1,000 deaths is not so bad, the Brazilian variant, yes, it ravages, oh my goodness, it didn't really come in through the porous borders. The people are really not hungry, they're really greedy, because they ask a poll and you say 54% of the people agree with Donna Cox that the poor people or the people who went for hampers are greedy, and they're moving through like that, and you're not asking questions on the HSF and where the money gone and why it gone and where A and V and where the appeal and Rowley shouting and he cussing down the place and where the Pfizer pass, to whom it may concern, who brought it in, why we can't get it, why we on Sinopharm, why we sign NDA, why is a secret deal, who signed confidentiality with USA. If you don't get answers to this, the media just tell you, okay, let's move along, and you see Rowley as viable, and anything Kamala do, somebody write a little press release that make big news. Kamala used the word creep. Rowley is a flipping creep. But ask the child since 1969, ask the ministers and them with their wife in the cabinet, ask some of the ministers in the cabinet, ask Payne Richards when she interviewed him, ask Anika Gum-Sandiford and other reporters who went home by him and he come out bareback. He is a flipping creep. But only vexed because Kamala write that, or the UNC write that in a press release. But only ain't vexed that a teacher impregnate a girl of school age, only ain't vexed with that, and then leave the child outside and give you pictures of inside children. That ain't vexed all, yeah? PNM councillors called for Maraj to step down. A UNC councillor was alleged or charged with some misbehavior in public office, some charge. He resigned off the finance committee. That's no big thing. We don't need PNM to call on UNC. Kamla Prasad Bisesa has always said, if you have any charges, if you have any problems, clear your name. Even before charges, sometimes PNM just lie on her ministers, lie on her people, and she say, listen, I want to give you a higher standard to the country. Only resign, clear your name, and come out. So we don't need no PNM to tell UNC to resign and clear the name. Because PNM, what all it does resign? PNM only didn't have a drunky monkey in the Senate after being convicted of driving drunk on the road. Could have killed people's family, could have go head on and kill people's wife and children. And Rowley leave in the Senate 2 years after that, full term as a drunken convicted senator. I didn't hear Ole Bolin resign. When they had a big PNM consultant paying 50,000 by THA, and he take a gun butt and beat up a man and went and get charged over years. He still draws his PNM pay. I didn't hear PNM say resign. When Marlene McDonald was under charges, sitting down in the parliament, I didn't hear PNM calling for she to resign. When Terry Rondon get charged, all kind of thing, like he was trying to be grabby-wabby up in the bush there, and he was under investigation and charged. I didn't hear them ball about that. I just want to know, tell the PNM, all you try to foster an atmosphere of propriety now. Because under the PNM, you could do what the hell you want, when you want, how you want, and nobody here calling for nothing to resign. All he called for Rowley to resign when he called a friend about when he wanted to find out about this thing, about over invoices in oil. All he didn't call for Rowley to resign when they take out Malcolm Jones out of court, so on a little paragraph of advice not requested. You didn't call on Rowley to resign when they take Ken Julian out of court for 31 million in Bamboo Networks. All you're calling for a little concert to resign, well, you don't have to call. Because Kamla Prasad says as a leader, and anybody who have any impropriety or any charges had to resign. Simple. What's the big deal? Oh Lord, I'm taking a little break because I'm going and deal with Simon the nosebreaker. Oh Lord, Simon the nosebreaker. I had to drink some water before I come to deal with you. You is a total non-entity. And yet you make Douglas politics. Every time you open your mouth, because we don't know how you're reaching Fatima. We know that Fatima have a 20% when you've done something and your parents have money, you could come in. We know that. We know you was never at the top of any class in Fatima. We know after O-levels, you could not get into Fatima Law 6. So we know you're born dunce, you remain dunce, and you was highly dunce. You had to go Polytechnic after. We know that. We know the only way you could move up some way is to go and lick K-Pax inside a Balize house. You then come and you make a joke when you was a minister. You was a minister and you could only say, calling young ladies when a school, Bishop Anstey, was celebrating 50 years or whatever anniversary they had. You went and called young ladies and others who graduated bats. And you thought it's a joke as a sitting minister. A bat is similar to a prostitute, a loose, a girl, a woman of low moral values and so on. Bishop Anstey girls are not that. They're highly intelligent, highly intellectual, brilliant, well-behaved, well-brought up. They are not that. I don't know what you have by you, but you thought that was funny. And like you still think that joking is, you're just there to be a clown. You are not Tommy Joseph. You are not Sprang Alang. Well, those are very intelligent human beings. You are a complete dunce, the nosebreaker. So I go and drink a little water and come back and deal with you, Simon, the nosebreaker, who couldn't even fix a bus stop that fall down in the middle of the road and block the pavement for 3 3/4 days. I'm coming back. Don't go nowhere.
The national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago. Let me go.
Look at this. Somebody come and look at this. Look at this.
Together we aspire, together we achieve. That's our national anthem. No, that's our watchwords. National anthem is discipline, production, and tolerance.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
This is one of the #1 reasons why I continue to say, kids, stay in school.
Definitely should stay in school. Simon Nosebreaker, you couldn't even stay in school because nobody wanted you, so dunce. Now, let me just tell you something. We saw a report on Channel 7 News about TTT being given preferential treatment to other newsrooms on 3 or 4 occasions, and then on one story where the Venezuelans were being repatriated to Venezuela, leaving Rowley's Trinidad and Tobago crashed economy. This video here. And Keishan Haynes reported that somebody who confirmed that TTT was being given preferential treatment in order to give TTT a fighting chance. I don't know what that means, to compete, because nobody has watched TTT anyway, whether under small pin or this new small pin, the nosebreaker, irrelevant. However, if someone were to do that, that would be a total abuse of power, because a state news agency being given preference over other media houses is an abuse of power. It's an attack on the freedom of the press. It's preferential treatment, and it goes against the tenets of democracy. It would be asinine of any government to have a policy that gives preference to a government-owned propaganda machine, TV station, subsidized and paid for by the very cabinet that is giving it access to preferential treatment and access to stories. So, first and foremost, let's listen to the first report. Then I will deal with Simon the Nosebreaker did a press release. And he'll stop laughing. Archie, run it, please.
Well, confirmation tonight that Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister in charge of Communications, Simon de Nobrega, has been instructing officials to grant state-owned media TTT unfettered access on assignments and to restrict other media houses by barring them from certain locations or simply not inviting them to assignments at all. And the confirmation comes from the unlikeliest of places, the minister himself. Here's Kijan Haynes.
News at 7 noticed something was strange during our coverage of the Venezuelan repatriation exercise on Saturday. The only two media houses that actually reported on the impending exercise, Trinidad Newsday and Us, were being blocked from entering the cruise ship complex. And despite numerous requests simply to get a shot of the vessel, we were told instructions were given not to allow access to anyone but TTT. Minister de Nobrega was present at the exercise, and off-camera, this reporter asked, in front of other reporters, if there was in fact an instruction given to allow only TTT access to certain areas. And his response was actually yes, and further added it was being done to give state-owned media a fighting chance. Now, News at 7 followed up by asking reporters at the scene if they knew of this policy. They said they didn't know it was a policy, but they had noticed at several assignments, TTT was given access to areas where other media were prohibited from entering. Now, we also reached out to government sources who did in fact confirm that this is policy. And if you permit me to editorialize a little bit, we here at News at 7 only wish the best for our colleagues at TTT. We believe a successful media is the cornerstone of a robust democracy. However, we do believe that that success should not come at what is, at best, cheating, and at worst, an abuse of power.
That's absolutely correct. So now, Simon the Nosebreaker, the Minister of Communications of Rowley's cabinet, put out a press release. Archie, I would like you to put that up big, and let's read it and analyze what Simon the Nosebreaker is saying in his press release on the letterhead of the Ministry of Communications, the Office of the Prime Minister. A statement of clarification by Minister de Nobrega. I have seen the news report circulating, and it is unfortunate that Kijan Haynes took seriously a statement made by me lightheartedly. One, leave it there. A statement made by me, Minister de Nobrega. So you admit that you made this statement. So Kijan Haynes is correct in what he has reported, that you made the statement. You are admitting that you made the statement of which he reported upon, in that you made the statement that TTT was being given preferential access by the government and that was a policy. B, I would love to know, Minister de Nobrega, what is the joke about COVID-19, about press freedom, propaganda, or unequal access? What? Because you said it was made by me lightheartedly. What could be funny in a repatriation process, a COVID-19 process, a freedom of expression, freedom of information? Please explain in your next press release what exactly was the joke. He continued. He said, and supposedly off the record, at the repatriation exercise on Saturday. Well, Minister de Nobrega, Minister of Communications, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, off the record for a minister at a function arranged by the Minister of the Government of Trinidad and Tobago. There is no such thing as off the record. Off the record does not exist for a Minister of Communications. You don't even understand your portfolio. You don't even understand what your job is. You don't understand where you are and how you have reached there. And secondly, what does supposedly off the record mean? What is supposedly? Something is either off the record or on the record. But in your case, at a function that you invite the media on and you are organizing, there can be no off the record. Third, he's continued. Given the large numbers and in keeping with the health protocols, it was determined that only TTT and the Information Division would have access. Well, Minister de Nobrega, health protocols cannot determine access and suppression to other media houses. You cannot utilize health protocols to give an advantage to a government media house over private sector media houses. That is called an abuse of power. That is called oppressive. That is called undemocratic practice. That is thwarting the freedom of the media and thwarting democracy. B, reporters. You said that TTT and the Information Division would have access. However, the Director of Government Communications had been instructed to ensure that all footage of the event be made available to all media houses once they requested same. Well, Minister de Nobrega, the whole idea of reportage, reporters, journalism, and so on, each journalist is individual with individual concept, individual thought processes, individual questions. They have different levels of research, different levels of understanding. Their eyes see differently. They can observe different things. So for you to determine who could go in there and take picture and film, and then that suffices for you as news coverage, means that you do not understand the individuality of investigative or journalistic integrity of reporters, editorial concept, editorial vision, editorial perspective. That's why journalism and news is a highly competitive field, because what someone sees, for example, somebody might see you and find you cute. But the majority of human beings will watch you and say you look like such a clown. That is a different perspective. So you cannot determine for the population your perspective through the eyes of a TTT reporter. And then, if it's only access to the government reporters, then that is called propaganda, not news. So I think you need to do some reading. You didn't read much in Fatima. Start to read now that you're a minister. We also, if you are talking about health protocols, there were only 2 other media houses there. So TTT plus 2, even under Rowley's mathematics, equal 3. 3 is less than 5. Therefore, allowing 3, a member of each media house that was present into any area would not be in breach of any health protocols, because it would only be 3 reporters or 3 camera people. So you are not telling the truth, sir. Furthermore, Venezuelans were bunched up. If you show the first video, the first part of it, Venezuelans bunch up, line up, choke up, no social separation, and all of a sudden, for our media and our freedom of the press, you are determining that 3 reporters cannot go in, only TTT could go in, because you are observing health protocols. You are not making sense. Furthermore, he went on, put back up his thing now. I'm making all your work, because we want to analyze. When a dum-dum takes time to put words down on paper thinking he's bright, we have to analyze each and every word. So he puts this up and he says that the TTT and the Information Division would have access. However, the Director of Government Communications had been instructed to ensure that all footage of the event be made available to all media houses once they requested same. Well, the Director of Government Communications, and let's focus, instructed to ensure footage be made available upon request. If the media was never told of this policy that TTT will be the only one allowed unfettered access, how then could the media who did not know about this policy then make a request for the footage that they did not know existed? A bright spark. Let me break it down for you, because that might make your little brain steam up a little bit. Let Anil break it down for you. If nobody ain't know what TTT was doing, how we gonna know to ask TTT for something that we ain't know TTT have? Dum-dum? Dum-dum? How? You see, dum-dum shouldn't write, you made it worse. See, we don't know because it wasn't a policy. So how can it be made on a request? Kijan Haynes was there, and you said you spoke off the record. On the record, Kijan Haynes did not know that he could call the Director of Communications and get footage from TTT because you did not make it known. Because you're fabricating stuff right now, Klong man. Let's continue. He then says at the end, put it back up there. He goes and he says in an official letter, a media release from the Minister of Communications, Office of Prime Minister, he goes on to say at the end, exclusive access to any events or activities, and I am surprised that Kijan should infer otherwise. Kijan is your friend? You and Kijan does bounce ball? That's how you write a letter on the letterhead with a coat of arms from a minister? Kijan is your brethren? You and Kijan does run down girl? What it is? Who's Kijan to you? He's a reporter, a journalist. Mr. Haynes. You Simon, Mr. the Nosebreaker. So you have a few questions to answer. Right? So, to sum up for you, from your press release, Klong, you confirmed that what Kijan Haynes reported on was true. You confirmed that you made that statement. Your position now that you were joking makes you look like a complete idiot, but we knew that already. You claiming that it was off the record does not help your situation. You're the Minister of Communications. And your point that TTT needs help is correct, because TTT is managed by the cabinet of the PNM, by Small Pin, by yourself. It's staffed by you. You put the board, you put who you want, and it is flopping. TTT is useless, just like you are. So, moving from this on, I see that Asha Javid took offense to this too. Asha Javid. Interesting. Asha Javid put up something. Look at that. Now, if you're looking for Asha Javid to look like that picture, all you go walk past she straight, But that's not my business. Now this, one station alone covering events is propaganda. Asha Javid, that song's so good. And I agree with that statement. Because one station promoting or being paid or espousing the views of the government, controlled by the government, salaries paid by the government, HR controlled by the government, managed by a government board, overseen by a government minister and a government cabinet. If they alone can follow a story, that is propaganda. You are correct, Asha Javid. But you're selective in your understanding of journalistic integrity. Because Asha Javid, living and being a lover of a PNM Attorney General while writing as an investigative political journalist in a two-party system and printing newspapers on the front page stories, when you are totally biased to one side and not the other, and not disclosing the fact of your close, intimate, loving relationship with the PNM ministers, one of which we are child for, and the next one who, while you were attacking the UNC Kamla Prasad Bisesa government, you were loving up and whatever you're doing at your business. But with Small Pin, who's Rowley's #1 super minister, yet you were writing, pretending to be impartial, pretending to be an investigative journalist, getting to the truth. Would you get to the truth on your lover boy? Would you get to the truth if it would make your lover boy's team lose? Would you get to the truth? Would you give people who you're not loving up with a fair shot? So how you know about journalism integrity now and propaganda? You did not practice it. You're still writing in the Express for Business. You seem to have taken a turn against the PNM now. Is that because your lover has gone to Goodwood Park? This is not journalism, and I don't care who you love. You could love who you want. But just like you know, Asha Javid, that it is wrong for one media house to be given access to any story with regards to the government that is propaganda, you are correct. But it is also wrong for a journalist to not disclose that she loved one side when writing stories that could tilt the balance in a two-horse race. So your feigned principles go nowhere with me, because you can recall, even with live sport, and that's just me, there are many other stories. You wrote 27 lies front page, creating and concocting. You let stories go with rumor, even though you had factual information given to you by witnesses that you chose not to print and to suppress. So Asha Javid, with all due respect, rest your pen down, rest your head on whoever chest you like to now, because it ain't in a yellow jersey. It will have a red jersey with a red pillow, and enjoy yourself, because it's people like you who have this country in the mess that it is in. So we don't need you criticizing propaganda when you are not the bastion of intellectual journalistic integrity. So give me a rest, please. Convent girl, come in with me, convent girl boy. Convent girl boy. Hey boy, tell me my national anthem. Let me stand up. Let me stand straight. All you play. Right. Come in, convent girl. Oh Lord, together we aspire. Together we achieve. All you give me something. Please, please, please. Run, convent girl.
Together we aspire, together we achieve. That's our national anthem. No, that's our watchwords. National anthem is discipline, production, and tolerance.
Convent girl, come in. All you, it had meme after meme. Archie, put up thing. All you, let me tell all you something. We knew that this man was a dunce from long time. Get the video ready. Get the video ready. Listen, this was not a one-off, you know. All you, if this thought, somebody tell me, oh gosh, he was nervous. How he nervous when he talking press conference every day for the last 17 months, 2 hours a day? He nervous? Look at this. You're telling me I used to stand up in the hot sun for that long national anthem when I only supposed to say 3 words? I wept. Next one. When I heard Health Minister Dr. Terence Dialsing say that about our national anthem, I wept. I really wept. No. What is that? I Sasuke? Why you say that? Next one is a convent girl thing. I stand at attention when I hear discipline, tolerance, and what production? Next one, convent girl, and you just talk arrogant about sunlight and punching and the UNC. Terence says the national flower is the scarlet ibis. Our national pledge from Terence Dialsing, the PNM Health Minister, is when it pours, you rain. Whoa, nation. White Oak boy. One more. We have time for the video. Memory loss, a side effect of the Balizé juice vaccine. Oh Lord, Terrence, I don't know what to say. I'm running out of time. But listen to me ain't running out of no time, because I'm telling you, I go deal with Terrence more on Tuesday. Because this is not his first gaffe. Terrence is a complete dunce. Always was, always will be. He pretends to talk, and to the real convent girls are not attacking all you know. He is trying to pretend to be a northwest convent girl. He is not bright and trying to talk like y'all. Y'all girls who really went convent are bright, so I don't mind if you talk so. But a dunce trying to play bright by talking like that, we know he's a dunce, and we will show you on Tuesday more of those things. This was not the first. I mean, the video so long, we preparing that for Tuesday. Terrence after Terrence after Terrence, dunce after dunce after dunce. So much so that Kamala Prasad Bidisesa and all had to mash up Terrence, mash up Rowley, mash up the PNM. Kamala, mash them up. Run it, Manachi.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for another virtual report. I want to thank all our previous speakers this evening and all proud UNC soldiers. I always look forward to speaking with you at these virtuals. One day we shall meet again in person, but in the meantime I must thank William Archie and Atlantic Computers for assisting us in getting our message across, giving our reports to you. So as I speak to you tonight, our concerns continue to grow. Yes, we have a health pandemic, but it is clear that the Rowley regime has taken us into a complete economic pandemic. Today, we are very close to 1,000 deaths being recorded from COVID. I express sympathies to the families of all they have lost their loved ones. I again call on government to make changes to their failed health team. I called for changes when we had just 600 deaths. But fake outrage, hyper-offended boners and groaners of the PNM had meltdowns. Look at this guy. He's in charge of the Ministry of Health. Take a look at this video, please.
Together we aspire, together we achieve. That's our national anthem. No, that's our watchwords. National anthem is discipline, production, and tolerance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Archie. So, since we called for changes, we have had over 400 more deaths with no transparency, no accountability whatsoever, and this failed Minister of Health and his team. Our question remains, how many more must die before we make changes to the failed plans of the Minister of Health and his government? In our country, we have a party in power who seems to be filled with con men who have an inflated sense of uniqueness, an unwarranted sense of entitlement, and overly emotional, easily offended, and unable to deal with opposing opinions. They attack the UNC. They attack every person who dares to raise a voice to call for changes. They attacked me for advice regarding sunlight for COVID-19. But please take a look at this video now.
True or false? Sunlight kills the virus.
It does. That's a truism. That's one of the reasons why outside in the sun, when you are interacting, that is much, much better than being inside.
Again, stay out of the recirculated air. It's better to be outside and in the open air. Sunlight better than more recirculated air inside.
Exactly. And that's the reason why one of the 4 or 5 things that we say are important is outside is always better than inside. Okay. And that's why when restaurants open, if they open, you encourage tables that are outside and separated from each other.
Is this why do you think that so many of the island countries have such low numbers? Because they have more of an outdoor lifestyle?
It's quite conceivable that that's the case. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should export the opposition leader as an anti-COVID product in this pandemic. Go out and tell the world, sunshine does kill COVID.
You would recall they talked about building a dome. None other than the member for Siparia came out, build a dome COVID will be killed in sunlight, etc.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, it wasn't my honourable colleague, the member of St. Joseph, who tried to lull citizens into complacency by telling them sunlight does kill COVID.
I talk about sunlight. Sunlight is great. We are so blessed. The climate we have is one of the best in the world. And I repeat again, sunlight will kill COVID-19.
Sunlight kills the virus.
It does. That's the truth.
Sunlight kills the virus.
It does. That's the truth.
Sunlight kills the virus.
It does. That's the truism.
Thank you, Mr. Archie. So we said sunlight will kill COVID. Now the science in the world is telling us the very same thing. I want you to remember that when citizens stand up and demand accountability from the Minister of Health, they do nothing. I think we all need to stand up now. Don't wait until one of your loved ones, a person you love, passes away because of the incompetence of the Minister of Health. Ask the question, if 900 people had died in 3 months from crime, would Gary Griffith still have a job? Why then do we have this failed medical team with Minister Diyal Singh? How many public servants over the years who have been deemed UNC have been fired, have been refused promotion, have been hounded out of office by the PNM mob? Only public servants who parrot PNM propaganda are exempt from accountability in this country. The mismanagement by the failed Ministry of Health team has had repercussions throughout our economy. You know, this week we saw persons by the hundreds, Venezuelans, who had come to Trinidad and Tobago looking for a better place because we were like a paradise. They are now fleeing. Venezuelans are actually lining up by the hundreds to escape Trinidad and Tobago. Imagine when they fled from their country because they could not find jobs or food. They're now saying, you know what? Between Maduro and Rowley, we choose Maduro. We are going back to Maduro. Take a look at this video clip of Venezuelans lining up to flee Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you, Mr. Archie. You know what many Venezuelans who are here tell us? They say that they're seeing what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago. They've seen it happen before. Where did they see it? They saw it in their own land in Venezuela with a dictatorial regime which destroyed a major oil and gas economy piece by piece. That's what happened in Venezuela. They were a major oil producer. They were one of the largest in the world. They had the largest reserves, and they were reduced, taken down, destroyed piece by piece by a dictatorial regime headed by Maduro. So now they did the same thing there. When they were dismantling that oil and gas sector, they blamed the opposition. Sounds familiar? That is what has been happening here. They say that Rowley is doing to TNT, the Venice tell us, in the same way that Maduro did to Venezuela. There is not a single sector of our economy which Rowley has not demolished. He destroyed our oil and gas sector. Today, we have junkyards across the country. Petrotrin is a scrapyard. At Pointe-a-Pitre, you go down to Point 14, you even go to Santa Flora, all these places have become ghost places, turned into scrapyards and ghost towns. Junkyards across the country. And you know what's happening at Point Lisas as well? That's the next junkyard in the making, all because of the incompetence and failed policies of the Rowley regime. Throughout this lockdown, we have seen the reality of the Rowley's economic policy. The Rowley economic plan is called Friends and Financiers and the Tax Plan. Once you are a PNM friend and financier, and once you're indeed a Rowley friend and financier, then You don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to go through. There's one way, one rule for everybody else, and another rule for their friends, families, and financiers. The Rowley government continue to ignore the economic pandemic that we are facing today in our country. Any MP, any councillor, and any human being, right-thinking citizen in this land, will tell you how overwhelmed we are with requests for just food, basic food. They're not asking for laptops anymore. They're not asking for any fancy anything. They're asking for just basic food. That's where we've been reduced to. And you know what? It's not only the Venezuelan refugees who are fleeing our country. Foreign direct investment is also leaving our country. If you look at the latest reports, you will see that we have had the worst outlook in the entire Caribbean region for foreign direct investment. We are attracting negative investments. What does this mean? Negative investments, just a word, but what it means, instead of money coming in, direct investment coming in, direct investment is leaving, so we're getting negative outflows of monies in a country that once we had the highest FDI recorded in our history under the government island. Now we are seeing investors are fleeing. Months ago, we had a motion of no confidence in the Minister of Finance, and we were doing that to highlight how bad our economy has become. The pandemic, that is our economy. That was our way of warning the country. And now investors are packing their bags and saying adios, saying goodbye Trinidad and Tobago, goodbye Keith Rowley. We look at reports carried in The Guardian yesterday. This was the United Nations on Trade and Development reports, which reviews FDI, foreign direct investment globally. And in that latest report, they place Trinidad and Tobago as the worst in the region. As if that's not bad enough. We are second worst in the world among small island developing states. That's where we've come under the Rowley government. And this didn't happen overnight. This didn't happen in the last year because of COVID. From the time the Rowley regime came into office, we have had negative, minus FDI, and I'll share some of the statistics with you in a moment. So the reality is now, both local and foreign investors have lost faith in the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Haiti is now placed better than TNT. Based on the same report, they're in a better position. Can you imagine with their social unrest, with their economic situation, what it is, and we know one of great hardship, they have done better than Trinidad and Tobago. Haiti. Look at where Trinidad and Tobago has reached under this Rowley regime. Under this Rowley regime, we see all the symptoms of economic collapse, economic pandemic. The NIB data has revealed for us that same NIB the reports that the Minister of Finance tried to hide until someone actually took him to court. 2 years of NIB reports being hidden, despite requests for the reports to be laid in Parliament, as is mandated by law. It tells us that since the Rowley government came into office, over 112,000 jobs have been lost. And it is more than that, because the NIB data only covers workers who were paying NIS. There are a lot of workers in this country, in the informal sector, who do not pay NIS, whether through their own faults or through the faults of their employers. So the 112,000 in the years since they've come into office, I can boast that the government I led had the highest level of employment and had the largest number of persons employed in the history of our country. We look at economic stagnation. We see decline in GDP being at its lowest ever in our history under the Rowley regime. The government I led had amongst this, I think we were the second highest, if not the first, for the level of our GDP. The main sector, energy sector, has collapsed with the shutdown of Petrotrin, the losses at NGC due to the misnegotiations of the Minister Young, who is now the Minister of Energy, and the Prime Minister himself. When they flew up to Houston, Prime Minister boasting to the country, I'm the country's best salesman. The misnegotiations have further damaged irretrievably our energy sector. So they outsmarted themselves in Houston in the gas negotiations. We cannot refine our own gas. we shut down Petrotrain, we have no energy security. Another factor to look at in terms of the economy and the economic pandemic we are in now. Foreign reserves at crisis low levels. Forcing government, you know what they did? To change the law to allow them to borrow in foreign denominated saving bonds. As bad as that. And another day, we did speak before and we'll speak again about the level of debt that this government has accumulated through borrowings, both domestic and foreign borrowings. So foreign reserves are down. I can boast that when we left office, we had amongst the highest level of foreign reserves in the country. Foreign investment and local investors are now sending their money elsewhere, as FDI, as I say, is negative 3 billion TT dollars last year, and almost in the total years of the SPNM government, 9.5 billion TT dollars under the Rowley regime. And don't let them fool you that it is because of COVID. I mentioned it earlier and I will repeat it. Since it came into office, FDI has been decreasing until it went into minus negative levels. In our country's history, under the government I led, we recorded the highest ever FDI in our history, totaling US 10.38 billion. And that 10.38 billion will convert into a lot of our TT billions, 10.7, over $70 billion TT in foreign direct investment. So 10 billion under our watch, about. Under their watch is in the reverse. It's negative 9 point something TT billion. Ours was 10 point something US billion coming into our country. Under the government I led, as I said before, we had the highest number of persons with jobs. We had the highest foreign reserves at about US $11.5 billion. They've reduced that down to less than half of that amount. So what is embarrassing for the economic management of our country is we have performed poorly when compared to Haiti, as I pointed out before. And if you have, here you have it, Haiti, experiencing a myriad of societal and economic challenges, has outperformed Trinidad and Tobago. Let that sink in. Understand what that means, and it's not because of COVID, it is because we have a Rowley government in charge. When you look at the small island developing states, again, we are second in the world. Second worst in the world, not second 1 and 2, but second worst in the world for foreign direct investment. So based on the data from the same UNCTAD report, when considered with the general poor performance of the Rowley regime, it paints its own picture of an economic pandemic. Taking a data point at the end of 2019, therefore, there was COVID within our borders, but before that, let's listen to this. Total merchandise exports in millions of US dollars declined from, under my watch, $10.748 billion in 2015 to $7.975 billion in 2019. Declined by almost 25.8% under the Rowley regime. Let's look at total services exports. This also fell very drastically. Under my watch in 2015, total services exports, US $1.125 billion. Under the Rowley government, as at 2019 before COVID, US $772 million. From US $1.125 billion under my watch, fell in 2019 to US $772 million, a decline here of 31.3%. This is clear that our economy has declined, is on the verge of collapsing, and that we are in economic pandemic under the Rowley government. Then we got a really bad news, I think it was yesterday, over the weekend, from a Guardian report about Atlantic LNG. Bad news, mothballing of Atlantic LNG. The report in the Guardian tells us that this Atlantic LNG train could be mothballed and stay out of service for 2 years. Now, I want you to remember, I told you last week, we have had one of the oldest oil industries in the world, over 100 years. They've killed that. But natural gas, and gas was the up-and-coming sector There was a point when we were the highest exporter, or the exporter of the most amount of LNG to the eastern seaboard of the United States. We were that good. So gas had started to take up where oil was falling, and we were doing very well with LNG. And now when you mothball this plant, you can see what's going to happen to our economy. You're going to see what's going to happen to monies being earned from exports. Again, a nightmare and a disaster. The Guardian article referred to this issue as an embarrassment for the Keith Rowley government. Greater than this, the impact will be a catastrophe for our economy. The flagship company, NGC, will not be able to withstand the financial shock. This is the result of several issues. Let's go into them. One, Keith Rowley's failed misnegotiations with the energy majors, where he tinkered with the pricing arrangements for the companies along the natural gas value chain. Again, that was the Houston trip, the greatest salesman and so on. When he was a great salesman, he sold out the country by misnegotiating gas prices, which has affected the whole natural gas value chain and severely impacted on our economy. Secondly, with this mothballing of Atlantic LNG, resultant departures from Point Lisas by several operators, again reducing the profitability of NGC. Thirdly, the absence of any serious plan by the Rowley government to deal with curtailment, except, of course, the now failed Dragon gas deal as one of the 6 game changers. That's game over for that deal. 4, loss of faith in the economic fortunes of the operations of NGC by major shareholders Royal Dutch Shell and BPTT as a result of gas curtailment. And 5, the appointment of a new energy minister who has already failed in his previous posting as National Security Minister and whose only claim to fame is his proximity to be the girlfriend partner or the companion of the Prime Minister. I see now we're opening the airport, and now this Minister of Energy has to go to the airport to visit, to do whatever he does. So he's like the minister, we used to call it the all-purpose minister. Minister in everything and of everything, and gets nothing done. You say a jack of all trades, a master of none. So you now have a minister who's failed in his previous ministries, now as the Minister of Energy. Let's look at the report put out by the Central Bank, their latest monetary policy report issued on July 16, 2021. What are the key takeaways from this report? 1, domestic activity contracted. Well, no one is surprised in the fourth quarter of 2020 last year by 20.9% on a year-on-year basis due to sharp declines in the energy sector. 2, the domestic energy sector experienced a further decline in output over the past 4 months of 2021. Activity also in the non-energy sector also declined by 2.2% in the fourth quarter of 2020. Natural gas production, which has been falling, continued to fall by 20.6% in January to April 2021 compared to the same period year on year from last year. This decline, coupled with the Prime Minister's missteps in the energy sector, have contributed to devastating conditions and now rumored mothballing of Atlantic LNG Train 1. Our economy is in a tailspin. The Rowley government has in response dusted off their playbook. From 2015 to 2020, they have decided to invent ways to blame the UNC and anybody else for their obvious failures. When this does not work, the Prime Minister resorts to raising red herrings so that the national attention can easily shift from his anger with his mismanagement. And if that red herring is not enough, then he bluntly buffs the journalists, all those people who go to these press conferences to ask questions at the press conferences. It's like a buffing session that goes on. Don't ask. Don't ask. And this is what we've seen under the Rowley regime. The economy is in a state of collapse. They have no plans. They've shared nothing with us as to how we will recover. No plans from them. And they're just go on hoof, making policy decisions on hoof without any real science, any real data, or without any real vision for a mission to rescue Trinidad and Tobago. Last week I shared with you some of our plans to kickstart the economy during and post-pandemic. I will restate these now. 1, reduce the tax burden, both personal income tax and corporate taxes. 2, revise the VAT regime in order to take the VAT off food items. I said we did it. It worked. Over 7,000 food items, no VAT. So lower personal tax, lower income tax, corporate taxes, reduce the VAT on food items, and of course, please pay the businesses their VAT refunds. Why are you holding on to monies that belong to the businessmen in our country? Why? That is not your money. That is like you're using their money as a loan, as your own money, refusing to pay VAT refunds. Please pay VAT refunds to the businesses in our country. Jumpstart food security. I discussed at length on the last day about that booster shot that I'd shared with you. Further, restart a reformed oil refinery to regain fuel security. And even more important, as a booster, invest in renewable energy. This is the way to go. The world is going into renewable energy, and that's where we need to go. We all know we have one of the best regions in the world. We live in a climate zone that is one of the best for renewable energy. We have wind, we have water, and of course, yes, we have sunlight. So we have all these renewable energy resources we can tap into to take our country forward. And then I also discussed with you that we should create 3 funds to mobilize the financial resources needed to help us kickstart, jumpstart the economy. These plans will no doubt help to get our economy back on track and on a stable path. The Rowley regime has always had no sustainable, viable, people-centered plans. The pandemic has proved that for a whole generation, they have taken us backward. Everything always goes out of control under the PNM. Today, I say our great party, the UNC, is stronger than ever. We have rebuilt our party. We have transformed our party to have a modern, inclusive party built on rewarding merit. They cannot take that away from you. Our party is out every single day in the trenches, fighting this incompetent and wicked Rowley government. We will remain resolute in our commitments for a better nation. I am proud of my UNC family, and I will never shy away from defending you. I love every one of you, our members, who have stood by us throughout it all. I ask you today, in spite of the darkness and the despair around us in this pandemic, do not lose hope. Do not ever, ever give up hope. Remember always, you're worried, but rest assured that we are fighting for you. We will continue to fight for you day and night. God bless you, and thank you very much.
Eid al-Adha will be observed on Wednesday, 21st of July 2021, inshallah. On behalf of the management of Tobago Politics, we wish all Muslims Eid al-Adha Mubarak.